Hey guys, thank you for clicking on the video. I hope you find it helpful in editing your designs in Photoshop. I have included a link below which will take you to P&C Designs where you can purchase the designs that I will be using in this video today. Now, if you've not watched the first video, I would highly recommend that you go back, watch that first, as this video will not make an awful lot of sense. I will try to add that link to the top section of this video, but I will also link that below for you as well in the description box. So this video is going to consist of two different types of design options. The first is how to add a simple overlay image. The second will be how to add a frame, an image, and also add a little bit of colour into your design as well. So to get started, as I said, the first thing we're going to do in this video today is we're just going to show you how to add a simple image just so it's an overlay. So as previously showed, it will end up looking a bit of something that looks like this. So now to do that, all we need to do is we need to go down to the folder where you have saved your images. This can be a picture of the family, a picture of the children, whatever kind of image you wish to be adding into your design here. So here I've actually got a couple of different things, and this is obviously what I'm going to be using within this video today. So I've got a frame here, I've got my picture, and I've got a little bit of colour, which will become obvious as to why I've got that in a short while time. So the first thing that we're going to really be focusing on is how to add just a full-length picture in the background behind your word search. So I've got my picture here. The easiest way to do this is to simply click the picture, drag that and drop that behind. Now you'll sort of see generally it will come in and it will come in and it will come straight over the top of everything. So everything disappears, you can't see nothing. You know, your word search is not there. So the way you actually solve that is, first of all, what you want to do is up in the corners here, you've got one here, one here, one here, and one here. You've got your little boxes. So what these do, if you can see, it's got the little arrows. This allows you to drag your image to get it sort of fitted into place, just to see where you kind of want to put it. Now, what you ultimately want to do here is you actually want to fill the whole page. So you want to extend the page, make it wide and fitted. So what you'll do is you'll click up on one of your corners and you will simply drag outwards, and you'll go to the bottom. Again, simply dragging outwards and fitting your picture. Now, you can obviously move this, you can extend it, you can stretch it and have it so it fits in any sort of way, shape or form that you wish. So once you've done this, all you simply do is you will hit enter, and that will place the image within your file. Now, what you also want to be doing is you want to be moving that out of the way. You want to obviously still see the items that are behind it. So what you would do is you'll come over to your right hand side, and you'll see here right at the top you've got the picture where it's been placed. So selecting on that image, you will drag that right down to the bottom under all of your other layer options, but placing it to just above where you've got your background layer. So by doing that, that drops the image behind the rest of the layer. You can see it, it's there. Now you may sort of be thinking, well, the lettering's not very clear. I still want the lettering itself to be clear, which absolutely. The solution to that is, again, over here on your right hand side, near your layers, you've got this little tab here. So what you would do is you will select on that. Now I generally like to bring the bar down to around about 80%. So it just sort of lightens it up a little bit. It just makes it a little bit more see-through, but then also pops the sort of the imaging, the words and letters that are there, pops them out a little bit and makes them a little bit clearer. So that is the most simplest way that you can add a picture into your design. Now, once you're happy and you've got the image looking how you want it to look, all you need to do now is go up to File, up at the top corner up here. You'll go down to Export. Now you can either export as, so if you want to save it as a JPEG or a PNG, you can then choose your preference as to how you want to save it. Generally, the quickest way to do it for me is just quick export and save it as a PNG. Just name it anything you wish to name it and hit save. And that is it. That's the quickest way that you can add a picture to your design. So now I'm actually going to show you a pretty fun way that you can kind of customize these designs. So down here, again in my files, I have a frame here, and I have a little bit of colour, and I also have my image that we are still going to be using. So once again, the best way to drag any of the items in is to simply click on the image that you wish to use and drop within the file. So once again, this will load up and this will actually import your design. Again, it will drag it in a way as to sort of overlaying the images. So as I showed you previously, the way that we sort of do that, the way that we sort of manipulate that is by using these little drag tools down in the corner of your design. So dragging them out from either side, we can then fit this so it just sits on just the outside of the word search itself. So we shall drag this around. So also using the corner sections that we've got here, we can actually stretch the frame outwards, so we can actually make it a little bit wider as well. So this gives it a little bit of stretch and a bit more manipulation. Now we can hit place on that just for the moment being. Now you may notice that the wording here just is kind of a little bit scrunched up, a bit near the frame. So what you can actually do is you can come over to your layers tool here and you can click on the font or the wording, making sure that your move tool is selected. And what we can do is we can actually just drag these wording down slightly just to move them out of the way of the frame, just to give yourself, just that little bit of extra space to manipulate your frame. So once we've done that, we've moved everything down. What we need to do is we need to come back down, find where your frame section is. So again, this has actually put it right at the bottom layer for us, so it's made it nice and easy. So clicking on that, you will then click on Control and T. Now this brings back up your ability to be able to sort of move and change the frame shape. So once again, just going back in, just manipulating the frame sizing, just moving that from left to right, just to fit it into just how you want it to be looking. Now clicking sort of the bottom half of it will actually allow you to move the frame as well. So once you're happy, I'm quite happy where my frame has been placed there. All you can simply do is you just hit enter. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to add in our image. So going back to your folder once again, you will go in and select your image. And once again, just simply dragging and dropping over your image. Now, as previously, this has gone over all of the word search, it's blocked out the frame. So this time, instead of manipulating the image, because what we do want is we want it to be going within the frame. So just as a starting point this time, we are just going to hit enter, and that's just going to place the image. Now what we need to do is we need to go to the top, we need to find where our image is, and we need to again drag this all the way down to the bottom of the page. Now if you are going to drag it all the way down, you'll see that just under the frame, it's kind of taken the little bit of a section here away, but it's left this section just here. So for the moment, I wouldn't really worry about what is sort of left here. What we need to do first is we also need to manipulate the image. We need to get the image so it is fitting within the frame itself. So what we need to do is, again, go Control and T, and that will bring up our box around that. So what we need to do from here is we need to obviously move the image up. We need to bring that into place, and just have it so it's a little bit filled at the moment, just so we can kind of see a little bit of the placement. Now, normally I would say to work from the top section of the drag tools, but in this instance, what I'm actually going to tell you is to actually work from the bottom. Now, there is a reason for this. It's because if you look up here at the top, you can generally see that you can move the image up and down, and you can actually place that a little bit better. So, dragging here from the bottom, we can drag this image out. Obviously, making sure that the people within the image do fit within the frame, because we don't want to cut anyone out. And so we will drag just both sides, just so that everyone is within the frame. Now, as we're dragging, what we need to be a bit cautious of is, obviously, as you can see here, this little girl has obviously been cut out. So we want to drag this up a little bit until all the faces are within the frame. So once you've done that, you're happy, you can see people's faces. All you'll simply do is you'll hit enter. So once that is actually placed in, we can then go back and we can look at working on this bottom section just here to remove the residual imaging. So we have a few ways of doing this. We can come over here and we can select our erase tool, and we can go down to the image and we can try and erase it. But if you notice, the image itself, it won't let you do that. Now that is because in Photoshop, the image layers are what are known as smart layers. So it automatically tries to think about what you want it to do, and it goes with what's the best option for this image. Now, it's not always the best option. So to allow us to fully edit this picture, what you need to actually do is on this the right hand side, you've got some options here on the embedded smart object. And what you need to do is you need to scroll down, and you've got these three tabs. So you've got edit content, convert to link, or convert to layers. All you want to do is simply convert to a layer. Now this will ask you, do you want to retain the transforms applied on this? And that's because obviously we have manipulated the size. So what you want to do is click yes. Now if you notice, it has brought up this little erase button. So what you could do is you could come in here and you could, with your erase tool turned on, and you can sort of start erasing the image around it. Now that works absolutely fine if you have got sort of a smaller image like we have here. But the best way that I kind of recommend that we do that, let me put it all back in again for you, and I can show you the best way for that. So the best way to actually, in my opinion, to do this is to use what is called the magic wand. Now you will see this button up here. Now what you want to do is you actually want to go back to your frame layer, so the layer that is just above where your image lies. And what you want to actually do is you want to go into the center of the frame and click. Now as you notice, this brings up this little box around it. Now what you do is you go back onto your image. Always remember to go back to the image, because if you don't, you will see just why in a moment. So what you want to do is you go back to your image and you will click Control C and Control V. Now what you'll notice down in your layer tab is it's actually added another layer. Now if you click on your original image, just below that and select delete, that will wipe away any residual and any leftover, and it will fill the box with just the image itself. Now, going to the new layer with your image, you can come back up to your opacity box, and again, just like before, we can lower that down to again around 80%, and that will make the words behind that image, or sorry, in front of that image, pop that little bit more. Now, you could leave your design just like this. You're very happy with that design, and you may want to just save it, not take it any further, in which case, great, go up to File, click Save, click Export, and either again, quick export as a PNG or export as. But for the purpose of this video, because why not add a little bit of colour and a little bit of fun to it, what I'm going to do is show you how to add another layer. Now, we're going to add a bit of colour in this time. So what we're going to do is, once again, we're going to come in and select our new option. So we're going to select this one right here. And again, just simply drag and drop that in. And what you will actually notice is that the image has slightly just disappeared behind the word search itself. Now, what we need to do is we need to come up here to our move tool, and we simply just need to drag that down into place. Again, using our drag tools, we can move that into place and just place that somewhere around the wording. Now, this is always a little bit fun because it means that you can just add a bit of colour and a bit of life to your design. Now, once you're happy with that, again, just hit enter, and that will place that just behind that wording. Now, once again, you may be happy with just how that colouring looks, and you may just want to go, okay, no, I'm happy there, I'm going to stop there. But just for this purpose, we are going to go that little bit further. Now, once again, what we need to do is we need to come over to this embedded smart option and convert to a layer. Now, it's always important when you want to edit and manipulate a design, you always want to make sure that it is a layer, because it's always just going to want it to just sort of remain how it is, and it doesn't give you that many options really to sort of change anything to it. Now, what you also want to do from here is, if you are to right click and on the layer and come to the top, you will see this blending option. Now, in here you have a number of different options. Now, each option does various different things, and my honest advice to you would to literally just come in, have a play, because there are so many different things that you can actually do to it. So obviously you can add some sort of bevels to it, and if you notice over here in the box, you can sort of see there what it's doing. Now, my favourite thing to do on this is actually to add a little gradient overlay. Now, if you actually select the option itself, in here it has some different options. So you have some basic options, which is just your sort of your black and your whites. You also have your blues, your purples, your pinks, your reds, and so on. Now, if you were to just come in here, you just have a look at some different options that they may have. Now, you may have a favourite family colour, or the person you're gifting this to, they may have a favourite colour. Now, if you actually go in here and select one of these options, you can see over here on your design, you can see how this changes. Now, what you can actually do up on the opacity is lower, so it lessens the amount of pink there is, or you can obviously leave it at 100%. You can also change the direction on which way the gradient is actually showing. So you can either have it going from top to bottom, left to right, and this just allows you to sort of change the styles and the radiance of that. Now, The next button down here, you've got a patterns overlay. Now, if you was to select this option, in here you've got a few options which come within Photoshop themselves. You can also add more options, but again, that's probably something that I will show you at a much later date. But in here you've got some trees, you've got some grass, you've even got some water here. So there's always room here to make your layers or your designs just that little bit extra. You can just make it so it's something a little bit more for you. So I'm going to leave on here the gradient overlay. Now, what you've also got here is some outer glows. So this, if you notice here, it adds sort of a glow around the edge. Obviously, you've got to be careful, and it depends on where your image sits. You've also got here some drop shadows. So if you notice here, when you select that option and deselect, it will actually take away some extra little things down here as well for you. Now, again, selecting that as a whole, you can here obviously choose how dark you want it, how light you want it. Again, have a play. That is ultimately how you learn, how you sort of find things out. You've also got here your distance, so how far you want the drops to be, or how close you want them to be. How far sort of spread out do you want it, all over the image, but then obviously you do lose that gradient overlay as well with that. And again, sizing, how much blurring sort of thing do you want around it. And I generally keep them quite low because I think the drop shadows are very nice, and I think they look very nice as well. And I just don't think you want to have anything that's too much in your face with this kind of thing. So once you're happy with them, you've had a play around, you've found some things that you really like, then all you simply do is you come over to here and you click OK. Now going back to the very, very first word search that you've done, you've essentially turned something that looks like this, in my opinion, very plain, a little bit boring. I'm sorry, Phil, I don't mean to say that. But you've then been able to change it. You've been able to make it into a style that's more maybe your style. It may be more for the recipient if you're making this for family or friends, or even as an item to resell. So that there is pretty much the basics on how to add in an image to your word search, how to add in that extra layer into your word search, basically how to make your word search for you. And I think this is a very, very personal way that you can give something to somebody. And every time I've shown somebody how these work, or I've made something with this sort of design on it, the reaction I've got has always been, oh wow. So my honest opinion is anything that you go along and you have learned over these last two videos is just to play. Have a play, find out where your own style is, and as I said, you can always incorporate many different designs into this one design. Just because it comes as something plain like that, it doesn't mean it has to stay that way. I really hope that you have learnt something and you can take away from this just how you can change it up, make it your own, and make it something that you will ultimately love. Well, I'm going to end the video here because I think we have thrown enough information at you for this evening. I really hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, and please subscribe and check out the next video. Thank you ever so much for watching.